Very interesting moment yesterday when the person who allegedly is extorting Matt Gaetz appeared on CNN's Chris Cuomo's program in order to explain why he actually wasn't extorting him. Let's take a listen to that.
Mr. Gaetz, text message from you. I would like to talk with you immediately about the current federal investigation and the indictment that is about to be filed against your son. I have a plan that can make his future legal and political problems go away. You sent that text message?
I did, yes.
Why did you put it that way, that there was an indictment about to be filed against his son? And why did you tee up the legal problems?
Matt Gaetz was in need of, if the allegations are true, he's in need of some goodwill from the government. I'm in need of a sponsor to fund the rescue project.
Saying the indictment that is about to be filed, what if people take that to be an implied threat?
There is no threat. I don't have anything to do with the indictment. I don't have anything to do with the investigation into Matt Gaetz.
All right, Krystal, this guy looks a little sketchy to me. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea what his motivations are. Anyway, he is the person, though, that is connected to this bizarre thing. He allegedly got a tip-off or whatever that some sort of investigation was coming into Gaetz. He goes and contacts Matt Gaetz' father. He's like, hey, I heard you guys are in trouble. You guys use some goodwill. You guys give me a $25 million loan. Then Matt Gaetz will be involved in this plot in order to free Bob Levinson, who apparently is dead, at least according to his family, in terms of what they've been informed of from the United States government.
Right.
Then Levinson gets freed, and therefore Matt Gaetz is a hero. He needs some goodwill right now because he's getting smacked with this entire investigation. And it looks increasingly like your prediction here on the show, which is that both Gaetz was being extorted and that some of these allegations may be true, allegedly, are not mutually exclusive.
Yes, indeed. I mean, just to refresh your memory, so it wasn't just, he basically, one significant thing here is he confirms the veracity of that text message.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't know if in the interview he also confirms the veracity of the letter that was published by the Washington Examiner, but it would seem that these documents and evidence that was provided by Gaetz are in fact accurate. And you'll recall in that letter, they go into detail about what their knowledge of what Gaetz is being investigated for. And they're pretty specific. You know, they talk about sexual orgies, potentially with underage women. Right. They talk about photographic evidence. They talk about that a grand jury, this is very specific, grand jury has been impaneled and one underage girl has testified that she was paid for sexual acts with Matt Gaetz. So he tries to make it sound like, oh, I just heard some rumors and seemed like he needed some help and I needed some help, so I thought it could work out. Nothing bad here. It wasn't an implied threat. Nothing untoward whatsoever. That seems a little bit hard to believe, again, because he's so specific in this letter of what he knows about the investigation, and then it's like, I can make it all go away for you if you help me out with this Bob Levinson retrieval action that I have planned, and I need $25 million to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Sure.
And at the same time, let's put this up there on the screen in terms of what's happening there, which is that the Republicans are making it known. If Matt Gaetz is indicted and that the charges include sex with a teenager, they are not going to call for, they're going to call for Gaetz' resignation themselves. They are not going to wait for Democrats to move first or to try and expel him from the House or any of that. So
no one's going to the mat fighting for Matt Gaetz.
He's got
right
very
now.
few friends here in Washington. If you want to really see, the person that he stood by for 5 years is basically saying, get the hell away from me. Let's put this up there from the Trump world. Basically, Trump and his allies are abandoning Matt Gaetz. I mean, remember, Gaetz debased himself to a level where it really didn't even exist here in Washington in terms of willing to defend every single thing Trump did for 5 straight years. Rocketed from a nobody to the top of Sean Hannity's program and being on Fox every single night. Hero amongst the Republican base. Trump loved him. He used to call him all the time back in 2007 to be like, love you on Fox. You're a fighter. You're a fighter. He's talking about the intelligence stuff. I mean, he made himself into a true Trumpian player here in Washington, I guess in more ways than one, here in Washington, and really like a power broker in some ways in terms of his access to the president, and they have abandoned him like that. Hasn't appeared on the Fox News channel since. Sean Hannity appears to have abandoned him. He's not defending him or anything. Obviously, that whole Tucker thing went sideways in a way that I think was very detrimental to Gaetz in the long run, but I think it tells you a lot that even the Trump people are not willing to go to bat for him.
So I missed this during the time, but he apparently offered to resign to lead Trump's impeachment
That's
defense.
right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Which
Yeah.
actually, that revelation now, like, there's a little bit of a different cast to it, a little bit of a different, because he knew that this was all
right,
like coming to a head when he was, hey, I'll step out of Congress and I'll help you with this impeachment defense, which is also very interesting. But it also shows you the lengths that he was willing to go to defend this president ultimately. According to Politico, the reason that you don't see really anyone in Trump world or Sean Hannity or any conservative media personalities who are associated with Donald Trump saying a word about this isn't because they didn't like Matt. It's because basically they think it's true.
Yeah.
There's one person involved in Trump's post-presidential operations who's quoted as saying, not a lot of people are surprised. So they're not willing to do the whole, like, this is a partisan witch hunt and this is a political hit job, et cetera, especially since uncomfortably these investigations were opened under the Trump DOJ. So it makes it hard for that all to land, although, they're shameless. They wouldn't be afraid to do it if they thought that they could get away with it. Gaetz was clearly, when he went and did that initial Tucker interview, he was clearly making a play to try to get conservative media on his side, to try to say, hey, I'm the subject of these partisan attacks.
FBI,
he made this
being
comment,
canceled,
deep state, et cetera. He made this comment about clearly it's unpopular to be an outspoken conservative man, et cetera, et cetera. That little play that he made to try to get them all on his side has clearly not worked.
Yeah, well, play in the mud, you get dirty, Matt. And look, like we said, there have been rumors going around town for a long time around Matt Gaetz. I just saw this quote from that Politico article. Some of Gaetz's own aides would regularly send embarrassing videos of their boss to other GOP operatives, according to two people familiar with the videos. So he pissed off his own staff, pissed off a lot of people within the caucus, pissed off people in the White House, pissed off people in the media, and some chickens coming home to roost here. So
there you go. More Rising for you after this.